Hello everybody and welcome to NBL Overtime. The off-season continues and Casper Ware is a king, as is Craig Moller. Dane Pinau is now at Southeast Melbourne Phoenix as they try to build their roster for their first ever season. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. Hashtag NBL20. Hashtag See Incredible. Cam Luke here with this man, Carey Homicide Williams. How you doing, man?
I'm okay. A little bit irritated, but I'm okay.
I have a feeling we'll get to that very shortly. Of course, Liam Santa Maria. Hello, buddy.
Hey, man. There's a bit of tension at the desk today. But look, there's a little bit going on in free agency, right? Especially the Casper Ware news shook the NBL world there for a couple of days. But also some other bits and pieces, some signings. I mean, that Craig Moller one, I think, maybe flew under the radar, but interesting to see him back in the purple and gold.
We'll get to that. We'll talk a little bit about how Phoenix are going to do it. But the biggest news probably of the week, in particular when it comes to the NBL Overtime crew, probably started last November and honestly reached a crescendo over the course of the weekend. Before I let Carey Williams talk, let's just have a look at what happened. We played one-on-one and you gave me a 20-point head start to 21 and I had the ball first. You'd still win?
100%. You too little.
What do you think, Liam?
Corey, I know Cam as a baller. I played against him back in the day.
You don't know me as a baller,
And
clearly.
Hold on. And yes, you would beat him.
No.
Here we go.
Every day of the week.
Every day of the week.
On Sunday.
You know what I'm going to do? It's going to happen. I'm going to get myself in shape and we're going to do it.
Oh my God.
Now, just quickly, this all started at the Richmond Club Hotel in Melbourne on Swan Street. Shout out to the crew.
Oh my God. We must get free drinks down there.
Well, we were getting free drinks at night, and we were talking about this, and you said, I'll give you a 20-point head start. You can start with the ball. And I said, I will score just once. And that's where it's all started. Now, in the 3x3 hustle in Geelong on the weekend, one, I tried to get you on court, and you said no. And two, I had to trash you while I was hitting threes. The only thing that's surprising about that is there was only one piece of vision, and the other 6 threes must be, of course, on the cutting room floor. Are we going to do this?
I know you don't really want to do this, and I'm not even going to really do it to you. You would not score. You wouldn't score.
Or get a stop.
The stop's
Too little. All I'm going to do is run all over him. You see these shoulders?
This is what I'm saying.
All I'm going to do, shoulder to his chest. This 3x3 hustle style, there's no refs.
Fine.
21 straight times. Left hand, right hand. However you want it, that's how you're going to get it. I'm not shooting no jump shots. I have one shot. You have one shot.
He thinks he could talk you into a jump shot.
I reckon I could talk you into a jump shot.
You never played me one-on-one, clearly.
Well, not yet, but I'm trying to, and you still won't do it.
Who starts with it?
Me.
His ball first.
He's bought my ball first.
So you've got one shot at it.
One shot.
One shot for glory.
I'm like
You're not even going to get an attempt up.
What are you going to do? Just
I'm locking it down. Steal.
Have you seen my hand?
Do you know what? Cam.
I did.
Put something on the table to convince him.
We should get a sponsor.
No,
you know what? If a sponsor is that crazy enough
What do you want?
to actually believe he can win, sponsor the whole event.
How much? 50G enough?
You give him odds?
What?
You would give the odds. I mean, we'll get somebody.
I actually
Somebody
don't.
put this up.
Can I ask you this?
Let's do it.
Were you at all impressed with what you saw over the weekend when Cam suited up?
I actually was.
Nice to get that out of it.
Of course. I mean, Cam hit shots. Cam made some plays, dished the ball a little bit, got a couple of assists, but come on, man.
He was playing against Danny
He was
Frawley.
playing against, there you go.
Hey,
You know what I mean?
As
But-
you always say, strength of schedule. You can only beat when you play.
This is true.
Look, if anyone out there wants to see this become a reality and wants to put something up,
Put the money up, we'll do it.
I'll put 500 on it.
Now, we need sponsors to put it up. I don't want to take your
hold
money. I'd rather take the sponsors' money.
I appreciate that. Thank you. All right.
He does want to put 500 on it. Just go on.
Nah, that ain't enough money to
You
play.
give him 2 for 1?
Nah, we need some sponsors to put this money up if they believe
Okay.
Cam can win,
Yep.
and we go from there.
I want the game to be in Perth as well, so I have a home crowd.
Let's talk Casper Ware.
Let's
talk Casper Ware.
Something much more important because the announcement last week that Casper Ware had signed at the Sydney Kings really did, as you said, shook the NBL community. And it's interesting because we spoke about it this time last week.
We did.
And you didn't seem to think that Casper Ware would want to play with Andrew Bogut.
No, what I said was if the money is equal across the table,
Okay.
across 3 teams, that would be the least.
Okay.
enticing team to go and join.
Financially, Liam, what do you make of this deal? How much more was the offer from Sydney from other teams, including Melbourne United in the league?
A bit more. He went to the most amount. But and it was more than he has previously been on. We won't go into the specifics. It's out of the realm of things. But he obviously, honestly, Corey, he obviously wasn't scared off about playing with Bogut. And we talked about how that lineup could look with Ware and Lish, that exceptional defensive backcourt, and then obviously those pick and rolls with Ware and Bogut are going to be fun to watch. And I think the thing that's going to make him, and obviously he's a tremendous offensive player, he's a great leader, he's a great guy, he fits in really well amongst everyone else. But at the defensive end, the thing that I think is going to make the biggest difference with him with the Kings is his ability to not get screened on pick and rolls. And when Bogut wants to guard those actions by sitting deep and sitting in the hole, Randall dying on those screens was a problem. Whereas Casper, I think, is the best in the business at getting into the guy's hip, driving him over that screen and not getting screened, not giving up a foul and staying in front of the ball. And that is going to be a game changer for the Kings.
Listen, Casper Ware is the best two-way player in this league. So with him and in the backcourt with Kevin Lish, that's the best lockdown defensive backcourt in this league. And to add Andrew Bogut in the back, steering the ship, that make them even tougher. That will automatically make them even tougher.
The thing that surprised me with this, not the fact that he ended up going to the Sydney Kings, but if you look at what's happened the last 2 years with Casper Ware, it has been a drawn-out process, and by that I mean it hasn't been signed in April with Melbourne United. It's taken until he's gone and had a look at some other offers. I'm not stunned he's gone to Sydney, as you touched on financially, it's the biggest offer, but I am surprised that he has signed it, and I'm not certain if it surprised Melbourne United or anyone else, but the fact he signed in April compared to a June, July, even an August situation was, for mine, raised my eyebrow.
Well, he's a bit older, right? And so the reason why that has taken so long previously is he's explored his NBA options and the ability to get a training camp deal or get a two-way deal or sign on. And that's what he did last year, playing for Portland at the Summer League. But it was really frustrating.
Guards.
Yeah, it was really frustrating for him because he didn't get much of a run. And then he signed back on, and coming into this off-season, it was quite clear. So you know what? I'm done. Let's forget about that for right now. Let's focus in on getting the best situation for me financially in terms of my basketball, everything this year and moving forward in Australia.
Will they go with 2 imports or 3 imports, do you think, Sydney?
Good question. I think they'll probably start with 2 again.
Same as last year.
But with a much better power forward.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, obviously, Casper Ware's not the only player who's leaving Melbourne United to go to the Sydney Kings, but Craig Moller was announced yesterday, a 1+1 deal, which is one we keep hearing about with the way the NBL contracts work and team option v player option, but he's got an opportunity now to head home. He's been a Sydney Kings player before, and Craig Moller will now be in the purple and gold next year.
It's an interesting one.
It is.
Because when I got the feeling from him and from speaking to some people around him that towards the end of last season, and even before the season was over, that at the end of this year he was going to look at exploring his opportunities elsewhere to see if he could get a bigger role. Not to just move to another club or not to go and win a championship necessarily, but to see if he could go and get more opportunities because he was frustrated playing behind DJ Kennedy and Dave Barlow and those guys and not getting much burn. But that isn't what's played out with signing with the Kings because he's going to be playing behind an import power forward. He's going to be playing behind Brad Newley, you would have to think, at the small forward spot. So it's an interesting signing and all power to him. He's joined a seriously championship, contending, if not favourite team. We'll see how all the rosters play out, but it's an interesting move.
They're definitely not the favourite. We know who the favourite is.
The Wildcats.
The Wildcats.
No Angus Brandt. No, maybe no Tariq White, I'm hearing.
Oh.
They're still the favourite. They won it with 2 imports.
Okay.
So I'm not writing them off ever again. I've learned my lesson. That ship has sailed.
You're not writing them off ever again.
Ever.
That ship has sailed.
It's not sunk.
That ship has sailed with me saying the Wildcats won't make finals, the Wildcats won't win a championship, they're not good enough. Everything they went through last year and they still won with 2 imports, I can't ever write them off ever again.
Okay. Wow.
Okay. All right.
Big
Melbourne.
moment.
Where do we sit with Melbourne United? No Casper Ware, no Craig Moller. Still, of course, up in the air when it comes to their imports, which normally takes a little while. But you're seeing Australians sign elsewhere, and this is interesting. What do you make of it as we look at their roster? This is signed. You've got Chris Golding, Mitch McCarron, which is a pretty good starting point. Sam McDaniel, who has been upgraded from a development player to part of the full roster for next year. And Sam Short, who has been around for a little while and will be a development player again. Outside of that, that's the only 4 players they have signed heading into NBL 20.
Listen, they are in a world of hurt right now, okay? Chris Golding is a year older. I would start Mitch McCarron at the 2, keep Golding coming off the bench. You need a dynamic point guard, battle-tested, proven. You know is coming in with expectation, and they can prove it. They got to be just as good or better than Casper Ware on both ends. That's why I don't believe they're going with Melo Trimble. Melo Trimble's he's an excellent ball player. However, it's easy to do those type of things with a team with no expectation. You come into Melbourne, guess what? You are expected to win. Can he deliver? I don't think so. That's why I don't think they're going to go with Melo Trimble. They need a legitimate center. They talked all year about Josh Boone, older, not moving. They hesitated and waited forever to sign him. So for you to not deliver and lose 3-1 in the manner that you did in the grand final versus Perth, I doubt they're bringing him back. So you're going to go with a younger center. Maybe Sean Long comes to Melbourne United. That could be a play. At the 3, maybe they don't bring DJ Kennedy back. Maybe they do. But from what I'm saying, from what I heard, that's an expensive price tag for a 3rd option. So if you brought him back this year, if you bring him back, you're not bringing him back for that price tag. So maybe he don't come back.
Yeah, I think that graphic was a little misleading because none of us expect Dave Barlow or Alex Pledger to sign elsewhere, right? So you can add them to that list. They're going to re-sign them if they haven't already re-signed them and just not announced
it.
So you can add those 2 guys. And that makes their squad look a little different to what we showed up there because they are 2 big, important pieces. OK, they lost Casper Ware. They wanted him. They make no bones about the fact that they wanted him back. They swung, they missed, they move on. Casper Ware's an absolute gun.
Yep.
Like you say, best 2-way player in this league. There are other guys out there. Casper Ware wasn't in this league until he was.
Right,
Josh Boone wasn't in this league until he was.
Right.
Sean Long, so on and so forth. So, and they leave no stone unturned. Dean Vickerman, Vince Cravalli, they also have the resources to, OK, they weren't willing to pay enough necessarily to bring Casper back, but they have the resources to get some good guys. It's important that they hit the mark on those guys because they hit that mark on Ware, Prather and Boone in their 2018 championship year.
Melo Trimble, that rumour's been around for a little while and has probably intensified on the back of the Casper Ware signing at the Kings. And Melbourne put out an Instagram post and social media post last week saying thank you to Casper Ware, and the irony of it that he was shooting a 3-ball over Melo Trimble. What are you hearing about the Cairns player? Not only just at Melbourne, but did I see the owner of Illawarra drop you a tweet last week saying they've offered him, and Cairns are obviously still very interested. So moving from Melbourne, which are in the Melo Trimble mix, to the other sides, what are you hearing?
Yeah, well, here's what, I said on...
I need my hair done for real.
Yeah, and that's the assistant coach, Jamie O'Loughlin from the Taipans. I know a guy here in Cairns. And Melo just kind of laughed that off. I like their recruiting though, right? Like, you do what you got to do. If at Barber we get it done, we know Range Rover was going to get Casper Ware done at one point. Yeah, okay, cool. So I then asked Simon Stratford, the owner of the Hawks, okay, do you know of another team? And he said, yeah, I do. And he was like, look up the top, so on and so forth. What he's saying is, we've made an offer. Cool. Let's see. I don't think they would need to be really making it rain in order to get Melo Trimble because there are some other teams in the mix, like I said last week, here and overseas. But, yeah, well, that was... Casper Ware was the first big domino to fall in terms of the point guards, and then those other known quantities like Melo Trimble, Jerome Randall, teams will be looking around at them, and then also others. Teams will be going to Portsmouth soon. I know Will Weaver's on his way there to represent the Kings, and then obviously Summer League and from there.
Where do you think Melo Trimble will be in the league?
Yes.
Where do you think he might be?
One of those teams that need a point guard.
Yeah.
This is my
top 5. There's about 5. Actually, no, we'll count. We've got Adelaide. We've got Melbourne. Melbourne. We've got Cairns and Illawarra. There's 5.
New Zealand.
Dan Pinot signed.
I think...
okay. You're going to answer it now.
Give us something, Liam.
I don't know for certain. But I think he'll be in Melbourne one way or another.
Okay. Do you think Jerome Randall will be in the league?
I wouldn't be surprised if he's not.
Okay, cool.
But hopefully he is, because
no
he's super fun to watch and he's an absolute gun.
It is, and part of the entertainment we had last year, and a lot of it was Randall v Ware, but that's what the league, that's the next step, the next evolution of the league, I think, is those little mini rivalries that we really enjoyed last year. Well, and if they continue to hang around for a little while longer, it grows and grows and grows. And
the Melbourne-Sydney one's just grown a whole bunch, had a growth spurt in the last couple of weeks.
Now, shout out, and I apologise to South East Melbourne Phoenix if I've got this wrong, but Dan Pinot has signed.
Yes.
Talking Kings, going to South East Melbourne Phoenix, which I've been told, and I think I read it was a 1-year contract +2, which is a player and team option. Is that...
How does that work?
I'm assuming I'm going to say I apologise to Tommy Greer and the crew down at Phoenix.
Yeah.
I must be wrong.
I don't know what that... I'm trying to get confirmation on what that deal is, but a 1+2 is a bit funky.
Have you heard 1+2?
No, I've never heard that
Okay,
before.
Have you heard of it in this situation?
I can't even understand how that works.
So, you know, I'm going to actually say that, I'm going to go out on the limb and say that for the first time, maybe ever, I'm wrong. But anyway, Dan Pinot was signed at South East Melbourne Phoenix. You'd like to pick up?
I do, yeah. You know, he's from Melbourne. They needed another body in there at the in the front line. They're full there now, right? Except for the import 5 that they're going to sign, you would imagine. So import 5, Dan Trist as the backup at the 5 spot, and then you got Wesley and Pinot and Manecki as the other backups at the 4. And yeah, I like it. He's a hard worker. He's a Warwick Giddy type of guy who can come in, defend. He defends a little bit bigger than his actual size. He's got good length about him, and he gets after it on the boards. And I think he has the ability to get even better, and especially under... I would love to see some really solid mentoring from Tommy Greer with Dan Pinot. Because if Pinot can turn himself into what Tommy was as a player, what Greg Heyer has been for a long time in the league, that guy who you can lock in as a defensive guy who is a beast on the offensive glass, comes in and gives you a couple of extra possessions, he could have a real impact on a, you know, really strong team. I
love the Warwick Giddy comparison because they both actually wear the wristband. The wristband. And Warwick Giddy made that. He went the double. Dane's only going the 1 at the moment, but we'll see how we play out. And Defensive Player of the Year, of course, reigning as Dan. Oh no, he didn't.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
What do you think? What do you make of Phoenix?
I think what they're doing is getting all the little bits and pieces that they need before they go for their other 2 key import signings. And that's what you have to do. You got to cover the bases. They're building a culture there, and you want to get the right pieces in. And I think so far he's getting the good pieces that he needs.
NBA playoffs are still 6 weeks, 2 months away from finishing, but we now start to move into international duties. We've got a World Cup, and so much of that when we're going to see Canada and the USA come to Australian shores and take on the Boomers, and so much of the conversation centres around the Australian players and how the makeup of the Boomers under Andre Lamanis will look. We know that Dante Exum won't be there due to the knee injury. Matthew Dellavedova is an interesting one. He missed the last 17 games of the Cleveland Cavaliers year after entering the concussion protocol. He is in fact still within the protocol, even though the season has ended. This is an interesting one as well. I saw his Instagram post last week, paraphrasing here, but he said, can't wait to get back to Cleveland and get back to the playoffs into next year. And Cleveland have, in an article that was on The Athletic in the last couple of days, said he's still in it, in the concussion protocol. It's not ideal, but we fully expect him to play without 100% saying he will play. This is a main thing because that might lead to some unavailability when it comes to Boomers over the off-season. What do you make of this?
Well, it must be a serious situation, right? I mean, a serious concussion situation if it potentially puts him at risk of not playing for the Boomers in August, still a few months away. Obviously, as you say, missed the last couple of weeks of the NBA season. So hopefully he's all right. Hopefully everything's okay and his basketball future is intact, and it would be great to see him wearing the green and gold in those games.
What I will say that I'm not even if it's not, and it is quite obviously any time with the brain and concussion is very serious, but even if he's cleared next week, the very fact is that he missed 17 games might mean that the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have always been very open with him playing for Australia, and that includes last year when he was obviously at the Bucks though, so he's had times where he's allowed to play, but that might be enough to say we'd prefer you to not play for Australia.
Yeah, I'd be surprised.
So? You'd be surprised?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they did that.
That's a good thing. All right. Dave Patrick has been announced to join the Boomers coaching ranks as well, and as well as being involved in the NBL over time and being at TCU and being involved as well at St Mary's and being everywhere, including right now the coach of UC Riverside in the NCAA program. He is also Ben Simmons' godfather. He was at LSU, and of course, a lot was made of the fact that Ben Simmons spoke about it, that when being recruited, it went a long way to him signing on and playing for
This is
LSU.
what you would call a power move, isn't it? Do you love it?
I mean, look, this guy is a legitimate human pipeline from Australia to America. From university to university, a lot of talent has gone through, Aussie talent has gone through him placing him due to the relationships that he has in Australian universities. So
one in particular.
I mean, Ben Simmons, of course. But yeah, of course. I mean, that's definitely a power move, and that's usually how this thing really works. Get you on a national team or head coach of a university, and you know, hey, everything is status quo in terms of him.
If that can help make Ben more comfortable within the national program, you know, he's coming into a team full of veterans, right, and guys that have played together for a long, long time. A team that he didn't make when he was much younger, when in what, I guess 2014 for the World Cup, when Andre Lemanis chose not to take him on as that young guy on that squad. So you bring Dave Patrick on as a way to kind of, I don't know, form a bit of a bridge. Form a bit of a bridge for Ben to come and be a part of that squad. I think that works well.
You telling me Lemanis did not take Ben Simmons?
It was 5 years ago.
Come on, man.
Okay.
He was in high school.
He was in high school.
He had played for Australia previously, though. He had played, but he was in high school at the time. You think he should have gone? I know.
Come on, man.
Look at you.
He didn't take
anything.
He didn't take him.
Keep it going.
We lost to Turkey. It happened.
Before we do get out of here, just of course, a lot of rumours not getting around, but when it comes to some college play and related to a kid who has been at TCU and had a pretty good year, of course, Dave Patrick is there as well. There is a player in particular that they're looking at who might come out of college early.
Yeah, Quat Noi. We mentioned on the show recently that there'll be some underclassmen that'll come out early that could be signed in the NBL as locals, and here is one, straight out of TCU. Averaged 14 points a game last season playing his college ball. So I understand that there are a few teams, NBL teams, showing some interest.
Before we let you go,
I got a
There'll be more too, there'll be more.
Yes.
Okay. I'm the head coach. You are not who you are today. 5 years ago.
You got back.
I did not pick you. For whatever reason. Let's say you just weren't good enough. Now you are who you are today. Would you have an issue with me? Because 5 years ago, did I look anywhere near like I was going to be the next best whatever? I don't know. I wasn't here 5 years ago. I'm just asking. Somebody help me out here.
I think that in 2014, when he was in high school and he had a pretty good high school career when he moved to the States, I think that a lot of people expected him to be a pretty good pro at some point, a very good pro.
And Andre included.
Exactly.
There was no, even at that point, there really was no kind of doubt about what Ben was going to be.
But it's always a risk to take a high school kid to an international tournament where you are expected to have a pretty good
I got you. I'm just trying to see, why did they bring, what's the gentleman
Dave Patrick.
Dave Patrick.
in?
Yeah, well,
To hold Ben's hand?
Firstly, because he's earned his stripes coaching, right?
Ben, yep.
And so Andre is not going to bring him in if he doesn't think he can help him.
And he has the relationship clearly with Ben.
Which is a big part of coaching.
Right.
It's not just X's and O's, right? It's relationships. What players do you have relationships with, and do you have the ability to build them? Now, he's shown that he can do that, and he does have that.
Right.
And if that can help get Ben in the green and gold for the World Cup and the Olympics and lock him in and make it happen.
Got you.
Happy days.
Will Ben play
No.
in August?
No.
Let's say the contract. Let's say
that is not a.
I hope I'm 100%.
That's not done.
No, you're right. I hope I'm wrong. But
Right.
I do not expect him to play in August.
Let's say Nike, deal done. NBA, deal done. Is he playing?
Yes.
Yes. I've also will say this. I've said this before in the show. I don't know how they do it, but if Basketball Australia can get Nike on board and they release the Air Simmons, therefore meaning he has to go to Asia and promote, because this is why a lot of the Americans are going to come, because shoe companies who pay them a fortune want their players to have a higher profile in Asia, China, into the Tokyo Olympics. Now, if they can somehow work it out that they release an Air Simmons, as ridiculous as it sounds,
Doesn't sound ridiculous.
Well, Nike will go, you got to go. If we're going to pay you all this money, you've got to go. You've got to play in Australia and then into China, which is obviously a bigger thing than playing in Australia because I think everyone would pick up a pair of Der Simmons, and then to Tokyo. Now, I think that is too far-fetched at this time, and Pete do a wonderful job with their association with the Boomers. But
True.
That's something that would definitely help.
If one of the guards can't play, maybe no Delhi, maybe no Exum, there's a guard spot available.
So be in.
Golding.
So be in.
Lish.
So be in.
A big.
Angus Brand.
What?
What's wrong with Angus?
Brock Modem.
Oh, I thought we were talking NBL.
Well, he's not even NBL anymore.
I thought we were talking NBL.
But who? Did Brock Modem? Jock Landau?
Jock Landau?
I don't know. You guys are more familiar with the international Aussies than I am.
Nick Kay?
You just said Brock Modem.
Yeah, well, Brock Modem, I think the team he's playing for in Turkey is a powerhouse Euroleague team.
Yeah.
All right, hashtag NBL overtime.
But I love the love for the Wildcats.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought we were just discussing NBL.
I did actually someone. You know when you put that photo up after they won the championship and that photo went up with you with the old Mohawk, someone superimposed. I got 2 or 3 texts asking if it was serious.
Oh, goodness me.
Oh, my God.
And I said, I'm about to beat him in a game on 1-on-1. He's sure that was a sign of the rating. On that note, hashtag NBL20, hashtag NBL overtime to get involved. At NBL to keep news, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Boys, see you next week.
See you next week.